Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my Fallout 4 mod spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the CROSS Cryolance mod, which is being made by user Niero, and what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is an amazing new weapon that's kind of an amalgamation of an energy weapon, a cold-based cryolator weapon, and a freaking railgun, and that is the Cryolance, and it is an amazingly fun weapon to play around with. Now let's take a look at what this thing is in our inventory, and in its most basic form, the Cryolance is, well, first and foremost, a gorgeously built gun here. Look at all of the detailing in the modeling of this thing. It is just simply amazing and has a great skin to it as well, which you can change in the modifications. We do have a number of different skins, so you can change it to just your liking, which is always fun. Now, as for its stats, this will do 110 damage with standard energy cells, with a firing rate of 15, range of 119, accuracy of 76, and a weight of 9, and all in all is just a pretty fun gun. Now, how do you get your hands on this thing? Well, it's actually a little bit more difficult than a lot of the mods out there, as you can in fact build it, but we'll talk more about that in a second, as it is fairly complicated of a process. Well, not complicated, just skill-based, it's difficult. Now, you can also start finding it in specialty vendors at level 25, but more importantly, you will start finding it on legendary enemies at level 30. Now, it's going to be very rare to find it on a legendary enemy, but you will have that possibility, so you can get one of these fun Cryolance guns with a legendary effect. Now, as for the modifications on this thing, you do have a fair amount of things you can change. Not a huge list, but I think just enough so that you can make some interesting different weapons. For instance, I took this default one, and of course made two others as per usual, this one being a bit more of a close range, faster firing Cryolance, doing a little bit more damage than the base version, and having a nice just 1.5x scope on it for close quarters. Or, you know, go with the Vault-Tec skinned one here, which is a silenced Cryolancer for, you know, long-range sniping with a lot more damage. And that, oh, that's fun. So let's go take a look at how you do build this thing, if you do want to go that route. And so you just need to head to a chemistry station, as per usual with building things, and head to the X Cryolance category. Now, as you can see here, my character cannot actually make this gun because of the skill requirements, which is what I meant by it being a bit difficult here. We need rank 2 in science and rank 2 in nuclear physicist, as well as the standard requirements here of 25 circuitry, 16 crystals, 16 nuclear material, 24 screws, and 25 steel. So overall, it's gonna take you a bit to build this thing. That is, of course, unless you have already obtained the cryolator. So if you've got a character with some really good lock-picking abilities and you get the cryolator from the vault, you can go back in here, and with it in your inventory, we have now drastically reduced the requirements to now just having the skill requirement of rank 1 in science, and the the material requirements, that's the word I'm looking for there, being now just 10 circuitry, 8 crystal, 6 nuclear material, 16 screws, and 10 steel. And best of all, you don't actually lose the cryolator in the process. You're not retrofitting it, you're basically reverse engineering it, and having a cryolator on hand to look at and build from makes it a bit easier, which is pretty sweet. I do like having that ability. Now let's go take a look at the modifications on this thing, which are, as I said, not exactly numerous, but still cool. So let's go to our default gun here, and first we have the barrel category, where we have either a mono barrel, a dual barrel, or a tri-barrel. Each one will increase the accuracy, the damage, and also the time it takes to charge a fully charged shot, which of course will be, you know, bigger and better, with the max damage on this being 192, though that can be modified up or down with some of the other things we'll be looking at next. Now first though, we'll have the grip category, where we only have two options of either the default short stock or a full stock for better aimed damage and also increased melee damage, which, hey, is nice. Now next is the add-on category. By default we have nothing, which, by the way, I should mention with the cryo damage aspect, because you've seen just the ballistic damage here of the base 110. With no add-on, as you can see right here, it'll do 25 cryo damage, but it does scale with the Rifleman perk, and the cryo damage is always dealt at any charge level, which is pretty nice. Now then, if you added a radiator to it, you will do 50 cryo damage, and also reduce the time of a charged shot, which is good. We then have a power regulator, which will up the overall damage but reduce the ammo capacity. And finally, a suppressor regulator, which will greatly reduce the damage, but of course give you that silenced shot effect, which is always good for stealthier characters. Now next we have the sight category here, which either is, you know, none by default, the 1.5 scope, a 3 scope, and of course a 6x scope for whatever you desire. And then we have the foregrip category, where we start with light, which, you know, lessens the aimed accuracy but increases hipfire, and then go to the heavy, which basically is the reverse and also adds to your melee damage. And then the final category here is the skins, where we have default, the construction skin, the vault skin, a winter skin, a black skin, a black blue skin, black green, black red, enclave, jade, red, tan, white, and that is all. So overall, some pretty fun skins, and as you can see, I mean, you can even grab like the black and blue or the jade, but you may have to go and download an additional thing here for 4K on them. So by default, these ones are kind of lower res without that from Nero's site, but you do still have the sort of the standard skins up here, which do have that very good texture quality. I especially love the Vault-Tec one. It is very gorgeous looking. But yes, if you want these in higher res, you are going to have to go to Nero's site. And that is it for the modifications, so let's take some shots with this thing and see how it does. Now with the basic gun here, we have the iron sights right there on the front, those three little nubs. They aren't the most useful, but they are functional. So let's take some shots. Alright, and that is firing as fast as I can to just get through the entire magazine, or, well, energy cell, I guess. But of course, we can charge this thing up even with the most basic version and do a bit more damage. And I do love the glowing effect that we do get from the weapon. It is pretty cool. And of course, the various shots get the nice cryolator, you know, sort of texturing on wherever you hit, which, as you can see, I've been playing around with that earlier before starting the video, because it's just fun to have ice all over the place. Now, as for the other guns, let's take a look at the black blue with the 1.5 scope here. And of course, this one has a lower ammo capacity because I do have that one regulator in there for increased power, which you can see on the right-hand side. It has an odd oscillator on it, which is interesting, but we have beautiful charging damage on this thing, and it does quite a bit at 176, I believe it was, and overall, just a fun gun. And then we have the final one that I made, the Vault one, which is the full-on sniper version, which has the tri-barrel, which gives it a whole lot of damage, though because of the suppressor, which you can hear there, it doesn't do quite as much damage as the other two. I do lose out a bit in the damage category. But overall, it still does produce quite a bit of damage, which is always good. So let's, of course, go over here to our test subjects of Randy and Will and see how this works against a target. Now, of course, we'll start as per usual by going after poor old Will here with the sniper version. And let's get a nice charged shot on him, and boom. Oh, I missed completely. Oh, of course I did, and I missed again. Oh boy, oh, I'm an awful shot. There we go, one shot did him in, and he is now frozen. Perfect, perfect. It took me 3 shots, but that's just because of my ineptitude. Alright, now let's switch over to the black-blue version here, and head after our Randy the Radstag friend here, and we'll go without the charge shot, and just a single shot did take him down pretty darn easily there. Oh, poor Randy. I feel a little bit bad about that. But yes, that is the Cryolance, a really fun, awesome gun, combining together the cryolator with essentially a Gauss rifle, and that is a beautiful thing. So if you'd like to take a look at this mod for yourself, which I definitely recommend you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the description as per usual. But that is going to be it for this video today, folks. I hope you have enjoyed. You do come back for the next, when hopefully we'll be looking at yet another wonderful mod. But until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one!